this one principle will make you successful. All right. And it's something that is so underrated. And the way society is shaped, it literally trains you to do the opposite of what I'm going to tell you, which is the thing that every single successful person did. Okay. And I'll use my story of how I started making money as a guide. So, it's funny because I talk about when I grew up in the shed, starting out when I was 11 or 12, but before that I lived in a gated neighborhood. So it's imagine living in a gated neighborhood and then living in a shed with no AC. And the bathroom didn't even have a door. It's just like a curtain. Like it was in a third world country. All peanut butter and jellies. It was a complicated story, but in any case, that's where the desire to make money started. Because even though I was like 11 or 12, or however old I was in 5th grade. So whatever age 5th graders are in, all right? I just remember thinking to myself, if I don't do anything, this is where I'm going to be. Because I kind of intuitively understood that, where your parents are is where you're going to be if you don't do anything and you don't try, right? You have to try and move up in order to get to somewhere new. So that started my interest in business, side hustles. I watched all the side hustle videos. I watched those top 8 ways to make money as a teenager, and all these different guys. And I remember very specifically the first thing I tried making money with was Swagbucks. Swagbucks. You know what the worst part of that was? Is Swagbucks even around? I don't even know. But the worst part of me using Swagbucks was that I used a temporary email. And when they sent me my $10 eBay gift card after spending hours doing surveys, I didn't even get it because I didn't have access to the temporary email, so I wasted all my time. But that just gives you a reference of where I started. And I guess as for the end, I suppose, not the end, because this was a few years ago, but in 1 month, I went from, 1 month I had $0 income, or maybe even 150, something like that. The next month I had $4K income, right? So a very big jump. And what I'm telling you is how this jump's achieved, how success is actually achieved. Because when you look at these people on the internet, all you see is, oh, well, he blew up overnight. I mean, one day he had no views, and the next day he had a bunch of views. So what you think is, okay. Don't worry, I'm not going to sell you anything. What I will tell you is that if you are liking this video, you will love my Discord. It's because my Discord is an uncensored version of my YouTube content, and I also talk about a bunch of different subjects. This video is probably just about one thing. And there I talk about fitness, and there I talk about geopolitics, and there I talk about philosophy, psychology, anything you can name, history, etc. I talk about it all in the Discord. Uncensored content I cannot put on YouTube. And it would also help you out because you can access me on my Discord. As of right now, you can literally send a message in there, ping me, and I will respond to help you with whatever you need. That being said, just back to the video. I don't have a straw, but you know how, people would... It's kind of nasty when you think about it, but they would put, a paper ball in their mouth, and would get a straw, and they would... Right? So what they do is they get a bunch of ideas. They get a bunch of things, right? And they go... Every week. Something new. A new idea. Something completely unrelated to the thing they did last week. So jumping around from thing to thing, right? And for a very long time, that is kind of what I did, right? I would jump from here to there, and, I'll kind of stick to something, but then it wouldn't work anymore, and that's not a problem. If something's not working, you can move out of it. But the point is you need to give everything a fair chance. And this whole time I was hopping from here, hopping to there. I was just trying. And eventually, I had this one idea. And this was after a bunch of different ideas, and some of them were actually kind of successful. I had some success reselling, had some success doing disc resurfacing. I would buy scratched up GameCube and Wii games. I actually still have the machine in my shed over here, or closet. Actually, I think it is in a shed in the back. Yeah, it is in a shed. But I would get these scratched up discs, and I would resurface them with the machine, and I would resell them. And that was pretty good until the broken discs ended up being the same cost as the working discs. So I kind of came in at a bad time. But in any case, I kept trying. And then this one idea, it was something I was familiar with. It was this idea that I could really put everything into. All the lessons I learned, I put all that into it. And then I got something good out of it. And that's what the 0 to 4K month, right? So that's the story, right? And here's the thing. that came from a lot of patience, because it is true that I was jumping from idea to idea, but what I was doing the whole time was I was trying to get a business to work. Right? I was trying to get a business to work. And to a degree, you kind of have this stage of trying out different things, but it not working. But you have to be very intentional about it. Right? There's a big difference between kind of going like, well, I'm just going to try out a bunch of different business ideas, right? Or saying, I'm going to give this business idea a fair chance, and if it's not really working out, I'm just going to move to something else. Right? Because there's no reason being attached to something that's not making any money. Keep that in mind as we talk about this. But in any case, so I got that business working, right? And the lesson I learned is that success does not come in linear lines, right? When you go to school, you go to first grade, second grade, third grade. It's like this linear upward line. You know, if I work today, then on X, Y date, I will go to the next grade. You know, well, if I work 2 years at this job, I will get a $2 raise. When I go to work today and I work 6 hours, I'm going to make this amount of money because this is how much I get paid per hour. But you'll realize when you start doing something on your own, when you become independent, what happens is that you go to do something, you go to do a task, you spend 5 hours working on something, and there's nothing. All right? And I know that feeling where you just spend so much time working on it, and you kind of just lay back and you're just like, I didn't get anything. The hell. And you start getting a bit frustrated. And you might even start losing a little bit of hope. And you just give up. But here's the thing. There's two graphs that are going on when you're working. So, working on your own thing. So there's an invisible linear graph of your skills and your, I guess, the momentum you put up from your reach. So every day you show up, this linear graph goes up. A tick, 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 tick. And then there's exponential graph of your results. So this graph is staying at 0, the exponential graph, but your linear graph, which is invisible, it's your skills. Your skills aren't something that's displayed on the screen. It's not like a video game. And it goes tick, 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 but it's staying at 0. Tick, tick, tick. But there's a certain point where your linear graph hits a point, and you can't see it. But when it hits that, the exponential graph spikes. And that's when you make your money. That's when you reach your goal. That's when you do the thing you wanted to do. Okay? So, in order to become successful in whatever field you want, this could be getting closer to God, this could be making money, this could be gym progress, etc. To reap what you sow, it takes time. I mean, what does the Bible say? You reap what you sow. What goes around comes around, right? But it might take time. When you plant a seed, it won't immediately sprout and grow, right? You have to wait. And this is one thing about TikTok and all these other apps. You're going like, you know you do it. In any case, when you do it, it trains your brain to like, no. So when you go into a business where you have to have a little bit of patience, it's like, no, but there's nothing, so you give up and you leave, right? It's exactly how it's a TikTok. If TikTok doesn't interest you within a second, you just leave. That's how you treat businesses, and that's why you do nothing, okay? So what you need to do is you need to develop this attitude of, I'm going to show up and I'm going to work on it. All right, I'm going to show up today, I'm going to lay down a brick. I'm going to show up tomorrow, lay down a brick. Lay down another brick. And when you lay down 3 bricks in the ground, it's like, what the hell is this? I mean, it's just 3 bricks in the ground. Who cares? But at a certain point, when you lay down enough bricks, it starts looking like something. And you're like, oh, it's kind of starting to look like a castle. And more brick. Every day, brick. Consistency. Every day, because momentum. Okay, a big part of this building, this castle, is momentum. Okay, imagine if you don't show up the next day, the bricks are going to start deteriorating. They're going to start going away. If you miss one day, that's fine. If you miss 10, I mean, it's almost back down to 0, right? But if you do go back, you'll be able to lay bricks faster, right? But every day, brick. And that means you're showing up to do it, but you're also getting better. Very important. You're getting better each time you lay down a brick. Okay, brick. You have patience. You're like, you know what? It's building. It's okay. Can wait. And then one day, boom, it's a castle. It's a house. It's beautiful. And that's exactly how every single success, every single field I'm proficient in, went. Even when it comes to learning something. Because when you first learn something, you kind of feel like a retard. But if you give enough time, and you land enough bricks, you start to see something. You start to see like, oh, I actually understand this. It's actually good. And that's when you start becoming successful. That's when you start seeing the results. That's when you start reaping what you sow. And always remember, you're always laying down bricks. You can either be laying down bricks to build a temple, or you can be laying down bricks to build a satanic altar. When you show up every day to goon, you're building up that gooning building, that gooning house. God forbid you're doing something even worse than that. In any case, find what you want to do. Find out what you can do every day to reach your goal, and just do it. But you have to have that patience. You have to have that understanding that if you show up every day, eventually this exponential graph is going to spike. That's how everything is. All right? It's not a matter of will you do it. It's a matter of when will you do it.